this is going
So
to
charge it back
actually
to
work.
them, and then they want you to fundraise it back.
They've got it figured out.
I don't think they're in any position to.
I think they are.
Okay, hello everybody. We have got through our technical difficulties. We've had a fun day, some of us. AJ got arrested trying to get on the ferry with no mask. We got 4 people live, which means that we have it on the right page. We accidentally had it going on someone's personal page, so this is a lot of fun. Thank you, Facebook. So yeah, here we are at the BC Libertarian name change debate. So we have 4 fantastic debaters. The format of this is we're going to have opening statements, and then they're going to talk amongst each other, and then we're going to have a question and answer period. I'm going to post a couple of polls, one at the start of the debate and one at the end of the debate. I'd like you to answer the poll at the start, and after the debate, we'll see if you've changed your mind, and the team that has the most people that change their mind will be the winner. So, without further ado, we will get started. So my name is Keith McIntyre. I ran for the party in the provincial election last fall in the Penticton riding. I'm also running for leader of the party, and I think as a good leader, I'd like to listen and learn about this issue. I think it's something that's been talked about for a long time. So as we are late, we will jump right into it. So in random order, opening statements. Bill, you're up.
Thanks, Keith. I was disappointed that you didn't do that joke for the 3rd time.
Oh. All right.
Hey, Bill. Hey, Bill. How did you decide what side of the table to sit on?
Yeah, how did you
Well, I just chose to sit here.
I don't want to talk about left and right. Let's talk about authoritarian versus liberty.
There we go.
Something along
I'm
the
sure
lines.
it's funnier the
All right.
first 2
Left
times.
and right is a one-dimensional paradigm.
There we go. All
All
right,
right.
Bill. Bill's up.
Thanks for
you're
being
up.
a good
He's on the clock.
Good sport there. Well, I'll do my opening joke for the 3rd time as well, which is letting everybody know that I'm not a real libertarian, as nobody is. I will also mention that I was a steadfast member of the Do Not Change the Name group. I wised up, and my good friend Paul Matthews and I were down at a Mises Institute event a couple of years ago, having some drinks, watching some baseball, spreading some liberty. And we had this conversation many times. Paul was an advocate for it. I wasn't. He convinced me by introducing me to the ACT Party of New Zealand, and I started to look into them. They have been really successful in New Zealand. The ACT Party stands for Association of Consumer and Taxpayers, which I thought was a great name. I thought it was better than folks from Australia, which haven't come up with any good ideas since becoming a penal colony. But I digress. I think the goal of the party is electoral success. And that is what we are trying to achieve here. And by doing so, we're trying to convince more people to vote for us and join the party as well. I really do like the proposed name change because I think it speaks to everybody. We're trying to grow the tent. I don't think that the Libertarian name allows us to do that. I think it allows us to get our ideas out, but it doesn't allow us to bring people into the fold. One of the challenges being, as a lot of us that have run for office before, is sharing our ideas when we talk to the electoral base and we tell them that we're a libertarian. All of a sudden their eyes glaze over or they shut down. That being said, I think most of the times when you share your ideas, they love your ideas until they find out you're a libertarian for whatever reason that may be. We can look to other parts of the world that has run under a libertarian banner, primarily the United States, which could be argued that they were founded and based on libertarian principles, and I don't think they've been as successful as they could be, especially considering the last 2 elections that were run in the United States had multiple terrible candidates, and yet the Libertarian Party could barely break a small percentage of that vote. So that is my case for changing the party name.
All right. Thank you. That's fantastic. Next up is Alec.
Every one of our existing members has a story of when they discovered they were a libertarian. When I was in college, I realized it and immediately searched for a political party that fit my identity. That was the Libertarian Party of Canada and the BC Libertarian Party. If we change our name, we lack a definitive calling card for new members, regardless of what other name is chosen. Where will political orphans underneath the Liberty umbrella go if there's no Libertarian Party? If we just become another color, how will we stand apart from the Borg? That's blue, orange, red, green. Will we just be Bjorg? Our name stands for something. The other parties have shown to be willy-nilly in their principles, even the Greens. Some have suggested hitching our wagon to the New Zealand ACT Party. So let's talk about that. Yes, 8% of the vote would be a nice number for us, but our electoral system here in BC would likely not grant us any seats for that, so I don't see this as a selling point. ACT sounds like a progressive party, so to speak. While political action may be what we're going for, I fear that the right-of-center electorate will associate it with left-of-center politics, and we will lose whatever political collateral we've acquired from the disappointed Liberal and Conservative voters. And let's not ignore that even if we do gain a few new members because of the name change, that there's a potential to lose existing members who do believe that our name is more than just a name and it's a statement of our principles. If we are not growing our party, then what's the point in a name change? Our party name tells a story. Our party name is fully transparent. Our party name is political. Our party name has legs. We are already piggybacking on international success. The LP, contrary to what Bill suggests, is having great growth, getting people elected across the country, including state legislatures. Our party name is a conversation starter. Just because we need to explain ourselves doesn't mean that it's a lost vote. We need to thrive on these opportunities. Every chance we get to express our case, we need to drench ourselves in that opportunity. Don't hurt people. Don't take their stuff. It's that easy. I believe that you know best how to live your life, other than a politician 1,000 miles away. If we don't thrive in an opportunity to share our wisdom, then we are in the wrong game and we need to fold our cards. Do we really want to throw away what little brand recognition we've acquired? Changing our name now will also potentially make the party seem new and untested, losing credibility. We received our own column on Elections BC. If we change our name, I'm sure we're going to lose that to the Blues. We're in the business of making more libertarians, and that's going to be awfully hard if the people listening to us don't know who we are right from the start. We don't need to create a new animal. We need to feed this one. We can't run from this responsibility.
Right on.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Alex. Next up, we have Paul.
Indeed, we all have our story about how we became libertarians.
Cheers.
My story is that one guy named Ron Paul, in 2008, I believe, ran a presidential campaign as a Republican, not as a Libertarian Party member. And just by speaking, that man changed my life, and I'm sure many of the lives of the people in this room. Changing the party name isn't about shame or a sense of defeat in any way, right? It's about trying to get the party a better platform, standing on a bigger soapbox to get a bigger audience, okay? We have to step away from the deep philosophical, we have to stick to the philosophy, but we can't get drowned in it, right? We have to attack the issues one at a time. Okay, and that's how you win people in. That's how you bring them into the fold. And looking at the success that Ron Paul had on key libertarian issues, right? Ending the Fed, right? Gun rights, states' rights, right? All those issues apply to the Canadian context. And we can fight that same battle. But we need allies, right? The Canadian reality of our political system is we need to reach out and bring like-minded people in and bring them into our fold. politics is a game of inches, right? You said that that the Libertarian Party of Canada is a big influence. Well, Tim Moen's a big influence for me too, and he understands that politics is downstream of culture, right? The fact of the matter is that libertarian parties don't create new libertarians. Converted libertarians drift to libertarian parties, or at least parties with libertarian ideas, or candidates with libertarian ideas, right? We've seen that with the PPC and certain elements of the Conservative Party. There are liberty-minded people in those parties trying to go against the grain. So that's what I think we need to do, is just broaden our horizons, try and acquire a bigger soapbox on which to speak to a wider audience. As far as the party name, ACT New Zealand, right? They had a huge success in their last election, despite a landslide Labour victory. They won 10 seats in their parliament, and they do have libertarian principles. They pick and choose their battles, and they run on key messages. I believe we can do the same in British Columbia. That's my case.
All right, thank you, Paul. Next up, first though, AJ, I want to ask, how did the handcuffs feel today?
I've still got markings there. Can you see them? I don't know if you can see them on the video there, but I've got markings there from the handcuffs. I'm sure it's not a discussion I want to have tonight. I'm still sort of processing the incident, but I'll discuss it maybe tomorrow with my libertarian friend Jason.
And has anyone checked if the police cruiser is still stalking us outside?
It is left.
It is left? Excellent.
Yeah, the
All right,
police
AJ.
cruiser stalking us, eh?
Yeah.
What was with that?
AJ,
They're
you're up.
following me.
Okay, let it rip.
Yeah, so thanks guys for first of all inviting me. I'm basically a nobody. I've had no sort of political involvement in Canada. I'm not even a citizen. So thanks for inviting me to the debate, guys. Tonight, well, in general, you are my brothers in liberty. But tonight, you're actually my enemy. And I will destroy you. I will make you go running home to your mothers. And I will make you cry in the corner before the end of tonight, or else I would have considered myself a failure in this debate. I've come all the way from Vancouver Island to participate in this debate. I've been arrested, I've gotten lost, had to cross bridges with trolls and passwords. It's been ridiculous. As I've said, I'm not even a citizen. This is, I feel so passionately about what libertarianism is and what liberty means to me that I've decided to overcome all those barriers to be here tonight. This is a ridiculous time for discussion, for even having this debate. We should be out there promoting liberty with our broadcasts and our podcasts. This is our time to shine. This is our time to promote our ideologies. Not to debate any sort of ridiculous name change, and I can't believe I went all through that just to debate this. Instead of focusing on why one should change the name, instead of focusing on that, I'm going to present my arguments just going back to what our libertarian values mean tonight, and it'll be an easy argument to win against you guys. You guys have got nothing.
That's fantastic. A couple things from the comments. Keep them coming. It's great. We will have a question and answer period after the open debate, so please put your questions in the comments. Just to answer one really quickly. So while we are allowing the name change side to propose names, we're not deciding whether or not we're going to change to a specific name at this time. We're just debating should we change the name or not change the name. And one thing I would agree is we're in the biggest loss of freedom in many people's lifetime. So our party is more important now than ever, whichever the name it is. So I'm going to open it up. I said at the start, I'm not going to have a bunch of rules. If someone is becoming too belligerent, I might jump in. But I think have at her, guys.
Tim Moen, like he's listening for sure, unless it's past his bedtime. I don't know. You referenced it. I referenced him. You referenced him. Talking about downstream. That's where you see libertarianism thrive at the grassroots level. And you're suggesting that libertarian parties don't grow new libertarians. They just attract current ones. And you're suggesting that Ron Paul, who, again, you saw my little letter, my intro, Ron Paul was in there to begin with, and I edited him out because it was in your favor. Because the Republican Party, of course, is far from anything libertarian, and yet he had some success. But you said he had success. What did he get changed about ending the Fed? He got people talking about it, don't get me wrong. But did they audit the Fed any more than before? Did they end the Fed? Did they end the wars? Nothing changed. It's because he was playing for the same team.
Became mainstream conversation, though, right? Even through the Trump years, right? Trump, as a candidate, talked about auditing the Fed. Trump, as a president, at the very least, didn't engage in any new wars. Wound down their engagement in Afghanistan and Iraq.
That's debatable,
right?
But
it is.
Didn't start new wars. We can agree on that.
But there's a lot of headwinds and currents for him to fight against. There's only so much you can do as one person.
Fair enough.
Right? What Ron Paul did was inspire almost an entire generation. Right? And most people in this room to be libertarians. We didn't join the Libertarian Party naturally per se. Right? We had to be pushed that way. It's not like the Libertarian Party of Canada or the BC Libertarian Party was the entity that was responsible for making us who we are today, right? That's the argument I make about that. As far as how it goes in Canada, right? The problem that I've experienced as running as a candidate and as a party executive is that the general public generally goes one of two ways. They either automatically have a negative connotation related to libertarianism, probably as a consequence of our state education, and just they're steered away from it, right from the early years of school. And people are more interested in issues that are passionate to them. I've won over more people that are outside of our fold by talking about issues that are passionate to them in a libertarian context. This isn't about changing the party name to not be libertarian. We can maintain the same principles and maintain the same platform positions and the same message. Again, it's all about widening the stage.
I've heard from some people when I was going out getting signatures, which is soul sucking. But it's part of the democratic process. If you're not willing to go and talk to your constituents, then you don't deserve to be on the ballot. And
to that point, though,
be quick.
Okay, yeah. I ran into someone, or more than one person, that said that they refused to give me their signature because they didn't believe that we should have a place on the ballot because of what we believe.
I haven't heard that, but I heard because they didn't want too many options because they don't want to split votes and stuff. That's a whole different ballgame. But here's the thing.
It is campaigning.
Right, it's part of it. It's part of it.
Yep.
Here's the thing: most people don't
Which
even
we've all
know.
done for the most part. I don't think you haven't run for office before.
No.
Okay.
No.
So I'm gonna put that as a tag against you. You haven't run for office.
Hey, I'm not eligible to vote just yet. My citizenship is pending.
You're done. That was your.
Is there a Libertarian Party in Australia, or a Libertarian-ish party?
No. Well, there's sort of more. There are, but they're very minor, and they're only just popping up now. There have been highly nationalistic parties. So I've got foam on my beard. There've been highly nationalistic parties which lean towards libertarian, but there's no sort of big libertarian representation. Okay. Now, what did you guys were talking about New Zealand? what is the name of that party again?
The ACT Party.
And that's what you want to change. The
Well,
name
that's
of-
our proposal.
And what
for
does ACT stand for?
For the Association of Consumers and Taxpayers. And if
So-
you actually look at their Wikipedia,
Yeah.
they're self-described as libertarian and classical
Yeah.
liberal.
Yeah.
And I do find that when you get into conversation with a lot of libertarians is that we start to discuss where we are within our own spectrum. Because some people would argue that they're ANCAPs. And for those that are listening and don't know, I think most do know that are listening, but anarcho-capitalism is a great idea. I just don't think it's feasible in the reality of the sense. So,
Okay.
So just real quick, whenever we tell people we are as a party, we also need to have like an iPhone or tablet with our Wikipedia page handy, so they can know that we're libertarians.
But that's part of
no,
the problem. is
yeah,
that
that's just a part of the problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Paul. So-
when you try and explain the philosophy, or when you get into when you dive right into it, the general public's eyes glaze over within 30 seconds, and they're not interested in hearing anything you have to say.
I'm sorry, for Libertarian, the Association of Consumers and Taxpayers. Have you guys ever gotten laid? Seriously, what sort of name is this? That name does not, like, who wants to go out there and say, I'm a member of the Association of Consumers and Taxpayers. Come join us.
We already have a Canadian Federation of Taxpayers.
But they're not a political party.
They're not a political party. They just like to tag along to everybody.
Who
that
wants-
will-
And they do identify as libertarian leaning. And so, to your point, you mentioned...
But who wants? Let me speak for just 1 minute here. Who wants to join a party like that? Especially in this day and age, the libertarian branding over the next year maybe or 2 years will become absolutely kick-ass. It'll be kick-ass to be
But
known
I have
as a
heard
libertarian.
that since the Ron Paul years.
Yeah, well, and it's been
And it's
since
never
the 80s.
happened, and we
like,
keep waiting, and we've never broken 2% of the poll.
the
Was there
libertarian-
was there a fake pandemic happening when Ron Paul was in power?
No.
But there's a lot of things that the loss of liberty is actually it hasn't happened overnight. It's been by inches, like Paul mentioned earlier. It's death by 1,000 cuts. They constantly are stripping your rights as you go along, and the general public is lining up to let it happen. So to your point, I understand that you're being a bit facetious, but the people that would
Well, it's my
want
job tonight. Yeah.
the people that want to join a party that would be named, just for example, the Association of Consumers and Taxpayers would be consumers and taxpayers, which is
Literally
undeniably everybody in this country. Every single person is either a consumer and they are also a taxpayer.
So it's very
I-
non-specific then. It's
Right,
it's not really denoting anything specific about
That's not the goal.
our
That's not the
distinctive
goal.
values.
That's
Yeah,
not
but
the
it
goal.
encourages people. It gets their foot in the door, and they at least come to the page and say, "Oh, I'm a taxpayer and I'm a consumer, and I'm
Unfortunately-
concerned about the taxes that I pay." And they look at the issues, right? And that's what.
Look at the issues.
Yeah.
Like, let's remove all taxes. Like, so suggesting all the same things libertarians suggest. My point that I tried to make earlier before all three of you cut me off was that most people don't know what a libertarian is.
Exactly.
I
That's our
say
point.
no, it's my point. So you can't say that you're getting pushed out the door because you're a libertarian, because they're going to say, I don't know what that is. That gives you at least 5 more seconds to sell your point. We want you to make the decisions for your life, not someone else. Then if they still don't want to hear your message, then it was bad soil to begin with. You don't want to sow your seeds there. So to that point, we're talking about Association of Consumers and Taxpayers. Again, I that's the last time I'm going to reference that name, because I know that's not the point you're trying to make. But you say, well, we just want a big umbrella. We want a big umbrella to bring people in. But then when they hear your ideas, like, oh, actually, we want gun rights to be far greater than they are, you're going to lose people right away, and you're going to get all those libertarian connotations that you had before, but you're not going to get the positive effect of drawing in those libertarians that you said is a magnet for drawing people in, which is in my opening statement.
But
People are going to come to you for that reason, and there's a growth of that movement right now.
You're doing the exact thing. You're doing the exact thing that we've been accusing you of. It's not you're using a broad philosophical argument.
Sure.
We're not going to talk about gun rights because that's not our jurisdiction.
Yeah, fair enough.
We're a provincial political party, and that's what we need to address. We need to address the political issues that the British Columbians are dealing with every day. We can pick and choose how that's going to fit within our ideological broadband, but we can't sit there and say we believe all this. Like the concept of screaming taxation is theft at everybody it's deafening because people they don't hear it. Canadians aren't about the fact that they don't want to be taxed anymore. The big issues that they are having is that their tax dollars are being wasted. That's how I win my arguments when I talk to people. I don't tell them that we should eliminate all taxes. You've lost them. You've lost them. Like, in all honesty, do you honestly believe that a platform of eliminating all taxes is going to win in any part of this country?
Well, I think, Bill, we have to sort of accept that British Columbia as a whole might actually not be ready for our ideology just yet. We have to accept that no matter what our branding is, they might not be ready to hear our ideology. And I truly believe one day, perhaps soon, perhaps within the next 10 years, they will be ready, because that's what this time is about, is making them...
On an electoral standpoint,
yeah.
What would you say to somebody? Let's just be hypothetical. You're running for office.
Mm-hmm.
And you come across an individual, just an average person. One thing is that they're not very politically active.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we are all nerds, right?
Yeah.
And I'm talking about you guys, actually.
No.
You know, you're all hung up about getting laid and stuff. But anyway,
There is one comment that if one of you becomes premier, you'll probably get laid more.
oh, okay,
Yes.
okay, yeah. Well, I'm married, so no.
Wait, what?
Anyways, all kidding aside, let's being hypothetical again. Say you're running for office, and you're going to talk to the average British Columbian that is not politically savvy, so to speak.
Yeah.
What's your big pitch to them as to? Because one of the things, and I think other people may agree with me, and feel free to disagree with me. One of the things you hear a lot when you're running for office is, "What are you going to do for me?"
Yeah.
What are you going to do for me? That's it. That's
As
really
little
it.
as possible.
And that's where you're
we're
going to
going
lose
to
the
take the
votes.
weight of government off your back.
Alright.
That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do for you. And this again, like changing the name is all about marketing, right? It's about getting the ideas out to the widest audience, right?
So
and you're right. The Libertarian, the BC might not be ready for the ideology per se, but the name to so many people in British Columbia is a turnoff. Like, there's a negative connotation to it, and if they don't, and so if they have that negative connotation, if it's not that, they get us confused with the BC Liberals.
We are a party based on principle. We are not a party based on popular votes.
That doesn't change if you change the party name. It's about marketing. You keep the principles. You keep the platform ideas.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about getting people to look at us, right?
Okay.
And the problem is that so many people in this province look at Libertarian. Oh, they're just a bunch of fringe nut jobs, a bunch of tea partiers from the South, right? And so it's just about trying to get people to look at us, right? And that's it. And to listen, even for that little bit, so we can give them that elevator pitch
And relate.
So
relate.
to AJ's point, he's talking about the province isn't ready. The Wild Rose Party came out of nowhere and had great success in Alberta.
In a conservative province.
Right. So that's not where we're at. So we're at a place that we're trying to change minds.
You said it yourself. ACT sounds like a progressive idea, right? Political action.
But
we are in a progressive province, so at least we get the people to look at it.
Yeah,
Can
and
I
we
just say,
also
we have an action party federally that nobody looks at. I've beat an action party candidate in a federal election. So just being an action party doesn't get them extra attention. Being a libertarian, people stop to look. Say, well, I don't know if I like this guy or not, but I know what a libertarian is, and I hate everybody else, so I'll show up to vote for this guy. Yeah. I'm not going to go ahead and say that I was going to convince anybody that I was the best member of parliament among that group, But the fact is that somebody came out and said, Libertarian, that's who I support. But let's get away from elections. Again, let's go back to downstream.
Is that
grassroots.
If that's your goal,
No, it is not. We are here to make more libertarians.
If you want to make more libertarians, start a podcast, right?
Who is listening? We are here at every chance I get on a soapbox. Every election I've run for school board, I've run for mayor.
Sure.
I have run for parliament, I have run for MLA. I have got on that soapbox. And I've talked about
and
libertarian.
Have you been elected to any of those
none of them.
Are you saying you
every,
don't want to get elected? Is that not your goal when you make all those efforts?
And every single time I think that I'm the best person of all those people.
Okay.
And I could care less if I get elected or not. But I'm only doing it for two reasons. One, so I have someone to vote for. And two, because I actually think that I'd be a better representative than the rest of them.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
That's very noble.
Right. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter if we're getting elected or not, because even if one of us, what if one of us got elected? Holy shit, that would be amazing. What's that one MLA gonna do?
A lot. Look at the disproportionate amount of power
that they had
the Green Party had.
Until John Horgan wiped his ass with them.
Sure.
Like,
That's because the Greens. That's because Greens now have a communist leader.
Okay,
well,
so
now we're off topic. Now we could probably start agreeing again.
Absolutely.
Let me go back to the marketing point before we move on from that point. I'm actually an MBA graduate, so I've studied a lot of marketing and sort of business branding in my university education. I now think at this time of university education a lot differently than, let's say, what I did maybe 5 years ago. But in that we talk about you need to build up your core audience before you start even thinking about rebranding. And we haven't done that yet. And for the reasons that, you've already addressed.
And we've had 36 years to do it.
Well, we have, and it's just, it hasn't been our time to shine, and soon it will be. Soon it will be.
Sounds like a climate extinction.
Existential.
Rebellion.
We need to build up
our party started in '86, but you haven't been active in the party since '86.
No, I haven't.
And AJ and Bill and I have not been active since '86. This guy is trying to talk about now until the future. So don't try and use the past against us.
We started this before, though. Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah.
Keep cutting you off.
No, that's okay.
I just did.
So yeah,
I'm an asshole.
I mean, sort of. If you look at Coke, back in 1984, they released this new product. It was supposed to revolutionise Coke.
Sure.
It was called New Coke.
Yeah.
And it was an absolute failure of a rebranding strategy. Why? Because it took them away from their core audience. All they had to do was stick to their core values, their core audience, and build.
But they were already a success
build
at
upon
that
that. They had saturated the market at that point. And
they got greedy.
Well, yeah, and
that
then Pepsi,
argument would be valid if we were
won.
liberals sitting here saying that we need to rebrand our party, because the liberals are successful ones in the group right now. So if the liberals or the NDP were to come and say, hey, we're looking to rebrand because we want to grow, I would understand your point. But we're not. We haven't won anything. We haven't done anything of any substance at this point.
We got on the CBC or the Elections BC column. We got a column, LBN. We got our own column. Hey, slow clap it all you want. But the BC Conservatives who whoop our ass in every riding that they run in haven't got that.
Okay.
So that means that people are actually paid. Okay, well, these guys are legitimate. So even though we know they're not going to win, we're going to treat them like they have a chance to win.
And that was nothing to do with our name per se, though.
Absolutely, it has everything to do.
It had more to do with the fact that we ran more candidates.
Yes, and it was our
It
organization.
has everything to do with the fact that we are a party that is in the common realm of understanding. If we were like Action Party, or
I think it's
or like
that
let's
is
think
a,
of another
that
one,
is a
dog,
huge presumption.
huge
right
presumption,
Right.
and I'll concede that. But like,
I think it has
if
more to
you
do
start
with the fact that the the executive of the party was, particularly Clayton, was really instrumental in getting the candidates organized and running as close to a full slate as possible.
Hey, how about this?
That less to do with what the people at Elections BC thought about us.
Flat out agree that we had a huge shift in the last 6 or 7 years in the direction of the party.
Shout out to Clayton, by the way.
Shout out to Clayton Wellwood.
Absolutely.
And Paul Matthews, Bill Morrison, myself.
And you.
Can I bring up something?
Actually,
that
hold
we're-
on. I want to give a big shout out to everybody involved in the party. Like when I got involved, I can tell all of the work and organization that you guys have all done to get us to the point where we were able to run a very, very successful election on very, very short notice. So I just want to say thank you to everybody.
That was a good effort. That was a good effort, guys. Yeah. And something else I just want to bring up that we
Also,
might all
5-minute
actually
warning.
be in agreement with.
5-minute warning.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll go to questions.
Something
Was that
I-
half an hour already?
Something I want to bring up, which might also we might actually be in agreement with, rather than debate for a second, is that we're talking about Liberals and their branding, and they've actually walked away. They've straight out walked away from classical Liberal values, and you know what they're marketing classical Liberal values as now? White supremacy. I saw an article this week. It was on the Post Millennial, and it was labelling these following traits as their sort of version of what they're calling white supremacy. Implication is that you should be ashamed about being white or something.
But they do the same thing with libertarianism.
Yeah, but
right?
no. This is what I'm saying.
Proxy.
So they're saying individuality is white supremacist. This is according to the Liberal Party. They're saying objectivity is white supremacist.
The Liberal Party says that.
The Liberal Party says that. Now, as libertarians, we're very objective. We say no matter what your race, no matter what your sexuality, no matter what your religious creed, we all operate under the same law. We all operate under one
But
law.
I have to ask, how does that change if we simply change the party name for a better marketing strategy? Right? Doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result is insanity, right? And we've had 36 years to get some success.
But that's bullshit because you're building to something, and you're suggesting like I've heard this before.
I have.
Haven't you seen the COVID charts where it's that like slow curve and it goes straight up? We're the same. We're poised for that straight up.
Again,
and I could say that I'm being overly optimistic.
It's the opposite of the end of Nye guy standing on the corner. Our time is soon. But it never happens.
I was in journalism school when I had a teacher saying, "Oh, like now is the time to be in journalism." Like I tell every class that, but like now is the time.
It really is.
And it turned out like no, I'm out of a job.
We need some real journalists out there, not
story.
propagandists.
You're basically parodying your own argument. Yes, you are. You're parodying it.
No. But the reality of it is we keep talking about like, well, how is it going to be different? Marketing. Libertarian already has everything applied to it. We don't have to market what a libertarian is. You just have to say, I'm a libertarian, and they'll say either I support you, or they'll say I'm against you, or they'll say, what is that? And then you get a chance. You get a chance to tell them what it is. Like you said, you can pick and choose which things you tell them.
You brought up the wild... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, have you ever had a situation, Alex, where you've talked to people and they say, I agree with you on 80% of your points. But. You know where I'm going with this, right?
Never heard that.
But I'm not a libertarian. That's what happens. It is really, there's a label, for some reason or another, and I can't explain it entirely, because my joke in the beginning that I am not a real libertarian, and we all know this amongst our own circles, we joke about it, and then we even see it. The Libertarian Party has the most infighting I've ever seen.
Yeah, we're our own worst enemy.
Yeah,
well,
we eat ourselves worse than the left.
We'll agree on that.
Okay, so
are we an ANCAP party or a minarchist party?
Yeah.
Are we classical liberal or what are we?
And what is a real libertarian?
Because we're low on time here, so like get your point.
So my point is what is a real libertarian?
Model.
And that's where I think the hang up comes, is because people they question that. They question what that means, and therefore it's either you're in box A or box B, and if box A is yes, I'm a libertarian through and through, or box B, no, I'm not.
That's because we're fighting for a different paradigm altogether. We're actually
I got
keep on.
You guys are debating so strong the microphone can't even handle it.
We're actually fighting for a different paradigm. We're not in this stupid one-dimensional left-right paradigm. We're on a completely different axis altogether. We're saying, fuck you both, really, and
Or
so
fuck you all is what we should really say.
yeah, fuck you all,
or none of you.
But we are on a completely different paradigm to that, and so within the framework of what libertarianism is, there is still plenty of debate there within that paradigm in itself. But we right now at this point in time have never been further away from.
Well, instead
from
of
a libertarian
operating in a
framework.
whole different paradigm or whole different dimension, we have to get back to reality and get back and talk to real people who live in the real world, who have their own issues and their own concerns.
People that consume and pay taxes.
Exactly.
How about this? How did the Green Party get legislative seats? Did they change their name? Did they rebrand? No, they stuck with it, wrote it out, waited till the entire paradigm shifted
and
to where people were like, I hate everyone, but at least
Right.
you care about the environment.
But again,
and then
it
they
came
got
down to the
votes.
candidates, right? Andrew Weaver, for all of his faults, was
Right.
a more appealing leader and more realistic than Firstenau, right? Firstenau is basically a commie, right? And you look at the criticisms that she's got towards the NDP, with the whole COVID thing. We're not locking down hard enough.
Yeah,
Right,
right.
we're not taxing high enough, and electric cars and the full bit, the whole Green Party, and look what happened to them in the last election. They got decimated, right, or they lost a couple seats, right, and they lost that edge that they once had.
So you're suggesting that a leader is more important than any brand?
The personality, I know it's what I said in my opening statement. The personality, the platform, it all adds up, right?
I agree with that.
Right, and that again comes back to what I was saying. Ron Paul, right, even as a Republican, a libertarian Republican, changed more people's minds and brought more people into the fold and considered their ideas more than a fringe party on the side. Ron Paul, as the libertarian candidate back in 1988, didn't get anywhere. Right?
Okay.
But when he was a congressman, a Republican congressman, it was.
We're gonna let you guys respond once, and then we'll move to question and answer.
You can respond.
The point is that nobody in the U.S. or Canada is going to change their ability to vote for another party based on what Ron Paul did. We still need to be putting candidates forth, which is what we're actively doing. Like you said, the executive is working, trying to build up the CAs. And B, we have to be building the grassroots level. So if we give up that name, we are no longer that magnet. Like you said, we're no longer the magnet for libertarians. We're no longer bringing in those people that otherwise wouldn't give two shits about politics. But then we have the Jason Baxes of the world who are like, I hate everything. Except, holy shit, there are libertarians out there. My grandpa was a libertarian, and he found us, and he's now our regional caucus chair. Sorry, thank you.
I would
RCC.
argue that Jason would still find us, regardless of the name.
Disagree, but he can speak for
Disagree
himself
big time.
over beers another time. Thank you, Keith.
Jason, do
Okay.
you want
Thank
to
you, Keith.
belong to the association?
No, he's not in this.
All right,
He's not
so
even here.
Okay.
AJ, he's not even here.
I think
He's invisible.
there's some really great stuff in there, and I just want to share a few experiences because I was fairly new to the party too, and when I ran in the election, I had a bunch of learning. I think fundamentally I've always been libertarian. I just didn't know there was a label for it. And a couple of things with the signature. So I had exactly those experiences where I had some people who are like, libertarian? Absolutely not. I'm not going to do that. But you're going to get that if you're a conservative or liberal or a green or NDP. There's going to be people like, I don't want you on the ballot. I found with the questions that I approached, most people, I said, this is about democracy. Like, do you believe that I should be on the ballot? you don't have to vote for me. You don't have to even like me. Do you think that I should be on this ballot? And I found people that were friends with our MLA Dan Ashton since high school. They're like, yeah, I'm not voting for you, but I think you should be on the ballot. And I found that very interesting. Another thing I just want to comment on is early on in the discussion, you're saying that it takes a long time to explain, and I think that's part of the marketing a little bit. And regardless of what our party name is, the other parties have the advantage of they got these talking points and these divisive things that have been working for years and years and years, and the funding, right? And people have been marketed into this, so it gets very, very difficult. So,
but those parties don't have to explain their philosophies.
Right.
They tackle the issues, and that's what leads to their success.
What they do is
Hey.
Okay,
Paul,
hold on.
AJ,
So
speaking.
I think Clayton's going to send me some questions. I know there's been some in the comments. Please send questions related to this debate. There's some really good libertarian questions in there, but we're going to try to stay focused on this. And I'm going to start one question. It's going to be a bit of a long one here from Tim Moen.
There we go.
And so his question starts with, is there any historical evidence that government can legislate liberty or restrain itself in the absence of a libertarian population that understands and demands liberty? If the answer is yes, then perhaps gathering votes and forming government is the best strategy. But if you agree with me that the answer is no, then the best strategy is making more libertarians and focusing on those that are most receptive to our message. The libertarian brand is growing. It's a word that means something. It's a word that Murray Rothbard, Walter Block, and Ron Paul and countless other activists have helped popularize and educate people on, and the world is a better place because of this. A little bit more. Bear with me.
Wow,
I think Tim's voice is important. When I brought it up in our interview, he became very passionate, as you would expect, and the branding does kind of go in line with them. So if you agree with me that making more libertarians is the most strategic goal, then I implore you to stick with a name that means something. I know it's tempting to engage in the politics of expediency and adopt a vague name that can mean multiple things to multiple people and might make it easier in the short term to gain supporters, but our battle is slow and steady, rooted in an unmoving principle, and that's why it will eventually win if we stay the course. The number of libertarians is growing, not shrinking, and it would be a shame to miss out. Okay, there is quite a bit more. I think I'll leave it at that. But just very, very quickly, so the U.S. Libertarian Party is about to take off. The Mises Caucus is taking control of the party with principled messages. So the question is there value to the Libertarian name? And if the U.S. Party and the Canadian Party are going to continue to gain traction, are we going to miss out on that?
I would like to respond to that quickly. And Tim brought up the Mises Caucus, which I'm very close to, and I do follow the folks that have spearheaded that.
I have one of their T-shirts.
To Tim's question is my retort would be why run for office? We're probably spending more time and energy running for office where we could probably spend more time and energy being activists, much versus running for actual office. And then to add to that, the Mises Caucus has become very successful because of Dave Smith. And Dave Smith is the podcaster that has spearheaded a lot of liberty-minded stuff, and he does not run for office. He is the Overton window, really.
I would argue Tim Moen makes more libertarians as a podcaster and a YouTuber than he does as leader of the Libertarian Party. The conversations he has off of the political stage are way more engaging and way more compelling than anything he's done as political party leader. Right?
Not to discount.
Yeah. No. Like Tim's an amazing libertarian, a true libertarian.
Thank you. And I will. Oh shit! I did that. Sorry. I'm gonna take it from there.
Okay. Well, I lost my.
Okay, let's hear from the other side. From the left side.
No, so
well played, sir. Well played.
We're all gonna eat at the trough of Tim Moen's, idolatry. This is a guy I've known only two other Canadian federal Libertarian Party leaders, and this is the guy that came out of nowhere and has been a hero for a lot of people. He's absolutely the message that I got from him after it wasn't even the last election. It was not the snap election. It was the one
2015.
before. It was a YouTube video he put out saying, "Why should you vote Libertarian?" And he basically rambled on all the cases for it. It's like, you have a clear conscience. And at the end of it was like, or don't, because even if we get elected, it's not going to make a difference. So if we're a political party, isn't that the point of getting elected? And I know there are people in the BC Libertarian Party that think that's the end game, and I know that's why we're talking about marketing and trying to get our message out there, which are important things. I got a couple more.
Tim asked a question though.
But the question is, do I think that
Wait,
government...
If you want to use your challenge, Paul, you can use your
I'll use my
challenge.
challenge.
Oh, shit.
Right?
There we go.
So, Tim asked a question: has a government ever legislated more liberty?
Oh, I was going to...
I would say, in small doses, yes.
Texas this week.
Sure, Texas this week. I was going to use a BC example, right? When the BC Liberals were in power, they basically, I don't think they eliminated the taxes, but they made it a lot easier for craft brewers to set up a business, right? They established a whole craft brewing culture, or enabled a craft brewing culture by rolling back all of the Prohibition era rules and taxes and allowed our favorite brews to thrive, right? It's a small step, right? But it was a step in the right direction. A BC Libertarian Party, listen, again, we come down to what's a true libertarian. We want to, get rid of ICBC and allow people to purchase their own car insurance. Do we want to go the extra step to abolish driver's licenses, as some NCAPs would advocate?
Yeah.
We're not there,
No.
right? But that's a discussion that happens within the Libertarian
Sure.
Party, and it's absurd, right? We're not there. I mean, it's
Over
it's
beers,
an
it's great.
Yeah, exactly. It's a cool mind
but it doesn't leave
experiment.
this room.
Yeah. So, but at the end of the day,
Useful.
I would say yes. There is some push and pull in terms of the liberty and the legislation and whatnot, but it has happened, and in very small doses and in particular areas. And
Okay,
you pointed
AJ.
out Texas.
AJ.
Yeah, so, thank you. To Tim's point about gaining popularity and for the cause, we are. Does anybody here on this table sort of notice something missing tonight? And that might be some estrogen, for example. As males, we seem to have our energies so much up here, and we don't have enough energy down here in the heart and in the stomach. And that's why that's why a lot of your debate has been very intellectual tonight. None of it has really been that.
Are you calling women stupid?
Not at all. No.
Hey.
What you're saying is...
What you're saying.
What you're saying is you don't have feelings.
No,
That's
that's
what
all
you're
right.
saying.
Let's keep the interruptions.
No, it's good to have a balance of everything.
Yes,
if
absolutely.
if you're a male or a woman, and I think by increasing sort of the values from this part of our sort of body and our spirit, our heart, increasing our passion, probably bringing down the intellectual arguments a bit, going back to the philosophical, going back to how freedom makes you feel, then we can increase our audience. You say we can't have a philosophical debate. It needs to be more sort of intellectual to increase our following. I think the exact opposite. We need to shift it down from the energies which come up here. We need to shift it down to how we feel, what we feel passionate about, what's in our mind and our heart. And you guys, I don't know if there's any women watching tonight, but we need to bring it down to
Paul.
sort of our more sort of less
Emotional
intellectual
state.
and
So-
more in the emotional, which is depending on your view of the world, a feminine energy.
So on this question, so Alex didn't quite finish up his comments. I just wanted to note, Sandra did comment she really wanted to be here, and she says, "I feel with my lady feelings." She wanted to be here, and if she could have been here, she would be here. And we have a lot of
We
fantastic.
need more women.
We have a lot of fantastic women in the party. We have had quite a few candidates. Brandy's here helping out. She was amazing during the election. So yeah, but I agree. We need to continue with that. So Alex, you.
I don't know. I'm just gonna just quickly reiterate. We're trying to grow the movement at the grassroots level. Political success is important only because you always want to be improving, growing. But at the end of the game, it's a soapbox. Like that, I've said it once today already. So we're just looking to get a seat at that table. So if you're switching the name midstream, are we going to get that same respect that we had before? Like, and you're saying we don't even have it. I'm saying we're going to lose any sort of credibility we already had. And I just, like, my last 6 words, I'll say like maybe 28 words. You talked about the craft beer. The BC Liberal Party at one point changed the law, crony capitalism, worst of the worst. There was a threshold for when you brewed a certain amount of beer, you had to start paying taxes. If you were under it, you didn't have to pay taxes. And Pacific Western Brewing was getting bigger and bigger. We all know they make all those delicious caribou beers and whatnot. And then just as they were about to hit that threshold, they're like, oh, never mind, we're going to raise that threshold. And the Molsons, the Coors, the Labatts, or not the Coors, but you know what I mean, the Kokanees, they said, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Why are we not given that same treatment? So that's doing special favors for people, and that's what we're against. So don't try and use craft beer as an example of how government is helping.
I'll use
They're
it as
actually,
an example.
and
Okay.
I'm saying,
So
I'm using it as
let's
an
move
example.
on.
Yeah.
Let's
Would
move on
anyone
to
like a beer?
Thank you,
Would
Keith.
anyone
Move
like
on.
a beer?
No.
New question.
Keith, shut me up.
A new
It's good.
question.
It's good.
No,
It's good.
I
No, it's good.
actually,
Thank
Jason's been chomping at the bit to ask a question. I'm pretty sure. You got a question? No,
Oh,
you good?
No, I'm
Okay.
I'm concerned.
If you have a question,
I would.
For
What
the
role
debate?
do you think the media has to play in the issue that we're discussing today? Do you think, and it's maybe a two-parter, do you think that the name change with the same philosophy behind it would make any difference in the eyes or in the broadcast of the mainstream media?
Can I go first?
yes,
Thank you.
yes, I'll do a better job mediating here.
No, all I'm gonna say is, I've run enough times in my town now that when I run, it's Alex Joel Libertarian. Like it does. I ran for mayor, school board. It's now Alex Joel Libertarian. So I have that branding attached to me, and I wear it proudly. There are other people that might be like, "Oh shit, that's gonna lose me some votes." Like, no, people now know what I am, and they're gonna go to my Wikipedia page. I don't have that. Maybe I should set one up. But when I Googled my name, it said, political candidate. It's funny enough. But no, it's Matthew Claxon. He works for the Langley Advanced Times, and he knows I'm a libertarian.
Yeah.
So that branding is attached. So if you start changing party names, you lose branding. You lose marketing. And I believe that the media does play a part in it. You might argue, and I'm going to let you argue it, that it's
Thank you.
not. Oh, I'm going to let
I'm
Keith
libertarian.
let you. No, I'm kidding. But still libertarian.
Okay, Paul or Bill?
Yeah, go.
So back to Jason's point, and the question is whether or not the media has any influence. And could you elaborate? Do you think that they are biased towards the libertarian philosophy in general, and therefore they do not give us the exposure that we desire? And then in changing the name, would that help in any way, shape, or form? In the sense that they still know what our philosophy is, and they would still railroad us. Is that what your question is pertaining to?
Yes.
Okay. I would say that I would say that it's always going to be a challenge for smaller parties, regardless, to get that media exposure. And we can look at what happened in the federal election with the PPC, which I think they kind of overcame that. I do believe that one of the main things isn't necessarily just the media, it's when people see the name and it makes them want to inquire a little bit further. That's one of my main points to it, is you talking about the emotional level. Something that's very emotional to a lot of people is how much taxes they pay. And not only how much taxes they pay, is where that money goes. And I think that that's where I've kind of butt heads with some hardcore libertarians.
Can I
about
use
taxation.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about tax being emotional. I think it's important to say completely disagree. You start talking about taxes, people go to sleep. And I speak as a person that started his career off as a taxation accountant. I'm not that anymore, thank God. But if you want to sort of elicit no emotion in people, start talking tax. Back to you.
Yeah, I would say run for office and get back to me on that. Because when I run for office, people they're infuriated, not in just the amount of taxes they pay. Canadians are very highly taxed, but where the money is going, and it's ever increasing. So every time we turn around, there's some new tax and fee and so on. And the government is constantly talking about how they're trying to help lift people up, and it's complete opposite.
I'll agree that people are not passionate or emotional about taxes, but they are passionate and emotional about particular issues.
Okay, we're getting off topic of the question. Sorry, I'm going to be I'm going to be a, wait, hold on. I'm going to be a hard ass because we have been going for a while and we did start late, so I want to make sure still got 24 people watching, which is amazing. I'm going to jump. I've found not that I wasn't expecting people to watch. It's awesome, but it means this is it's an important issue. So I did find one comment here. So from Amy Jones, is the party not currently in the middle of growth? Aren't hordes of disenfranchised people and voters not looking for a home on a daily basis? And the comment disappeared. But yeah, isn't this the time when libertarian ideals are going to stand out?
You are absolutely 100% right, Amy. This is the time for libertarians to shine. This is the time for libertarians to make their case. This is the time for libertarian growth, if any, in the history, as I understand it, of British Columbia and of what our concept of Canada is. I completely agree with you.
But how many of those people are on the edge, but at the end of the day, when they get to the ballot, they go with the candidate that's just going to get whoever they don't want in.
Yeah.
You know, who's going to prevent that, right? So if they don't want the NDP or the Greens to get in, they're going to vote the Liberals, right? This you know, and I mean it's that semi-bogus splitting the vote threat, right? What I'm talking about, or what we're talking about here, is changing the name and trying to get those disenfranchised liberals and even NDPers that are concerned about civil rights and individuality and local governance, right? These are libertarian ideals, right? We're trying to bring those people into the fold and strip it from the legacy parties, right? And again, the libertarian name is both an asset and a hindrance, right? In many ways. Right, it's just that we don't have the same DNA that the Americans do, right? I think you were alluding to it.
Yeah.
That in Canada it's about peace, order, and good government, right? Whereas in America it's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, or life, liberty, and property, depending on which side.
Let me ask you guys a quick yes or no question. Sure. If the BC Liberal Party changed their name to the Conservative Party tomorrow, would you change the name of the Libertarian Party or not?
There's no difference between the Conservative Party and the Liberal Party. They are the same party. I think that
you're leading to the point, though, I'm sorry, yes or no, but leading to the point that we get confused by the Liberals sometimes, right? I would certainly say that I would take a second look.
And I would not. I would still say that's not a reason to change.
I would say yes, because those parties don't live up to their philosophy.
No, and we'll agree on that. And all of us will agree on it. Every person in this room, but that's not a reason for us to change our name. It comes down to our marketing.
It's not about It's about the marketing. It's not about the philosophy. It's not about the name. It's about getting the message.
You just said it's not about philosophy,
but it is
absolutely about
the political party. The political party. The political party is. You can't get into the weeds with the general electorate.
Fair enough.
Most often than not. And if you are in the position of having to explain what a libertarian is, they glaze over. And, well, you're not a mainstream party, right? So, and that's the hurdle that we have to get over.
And I don't want to get over it. I want that hurdle every day of the week. I want to look someone in the eye and say, have you ever heard of the Libertarian Party? And when they say no, I'm like, holy shit! I got good ground to work with here.
Guys,
I can explain my story. If they say yes, then yeah, I'm working with predetermined opinions, and that's a whole different story. But I can't wait for someone to say, no, I haven't heard of you guys before. Oh man, I'm sorry. I keep smacking the table.
The underlying sort of values that we represent involve a big shift in consciousness for people, and a big shift in their sort of worldview of what the constructs are of society. It goes deeper than politics. It goes deeper than votes. It is so deep within, and it's coming to a sort of fruition now. These values, and so until people sort of wake up to what's wrong in the world, then we're not going to see that manifested in votes and popularity.
May I just make one point related to that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So I said it before. The political parties don't create libertarians, right? It's outside forces that
Disagree.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you disagree, right?
Yet. Sorry.
Okay. But I would say that, again,
Watch it, Jason.
Tim Moen is better as a podcaster and a YouTuber in converting people to libertarian thought than the political party is, right? And that's what draws people to libertarian-minded political parties, is the outside influence. Michael Malice, Tom Woods, and all that. They don't necessarily mention libertarianism in all of their broadcasts, right? But they promote the thought and the philosophy, right? But they do it in a way, kind of in a roundabout way, right? They have normal conversations with normal people, and I've had that same experience, right? If I don't mention the word libertarian, right, and talk to people about the issues, what do you believe about healthcare? What do you believe about education or my car insurance or whatever it may be? You win people over on an issue by issue basis. Politics is a game of inches. And that's where we're at. And the goal of a political party is to get votes. And I understand that there are misgivings about playing the populist role, but we have to get people into the fold.
Throw in my flag.
All right.
Sorry to keep smacking the table. So I'm agitated.
How do we expect to take you seriously?
No, you can't keep my emotions
No self-control.
in check. Right. No, you talk about, issue by issue. Well, you bring somebody in on let's say ICBC, and then they're like, oh, and also we want to make, two-tiered healthcare legal. And they're going to say, oh my gosh, heck no, because they believe single payer is the way to go. So you've gained nothing, but you've become a pragmatist party.
No.
And I believe when you step away from the name libertarian, you open yourself up to being more pragmatist. You open yourself up to not standing for exactly what your name says. Yes, the conservatives, the liberals.
So you're one of those that thinks
green.
pragmatism is a bad idea. I mean, that's the
100%.
Right?
So Tim Moen was the guy, him and another character who I can't remember because he's not Tim Moen, but they were basically writing the platform for the last federal election that I ran as a candidate for. It came back, we're going to get rid of the income tax. And I thought, holy shit, that's bold. But what's more libertarian than getting rid of income tax? And it took me a day or two, dragged myself off the floor, and I said, I'm going to fight for this. Because pragmatism gets you nowhere. We are all about our name.
Would you say that
and
there
we are
was
all
no...
about the ideas behind our name. So if your name can already tell the story about you, why would you want to give that up? My name tells the story about me.
Okay,
before I even get there.
Conscious of our viewers, we are over time. We are an hour 8 in, so I don't want to cut it short just because we started late. But I do want to make a comment about my own personal experience. So political parties don't make libertarians. So I came to the party because I was passionate about how wrong this election was, and I was completely disillusioned with politics. And I found the party. I'm like, there's an actual party that is not playing in the bullshit of all the wings, and that kind of spoke to me. And Penticton had never had a libertarian candidate, and with I've fairly well known in the city, and people are like, what is a libertarian? And they didn't know what it was, and I was able to explain that. And for me, learning, there's so much resources out there. So a question I have, I run multiple businesses and involved in the party, lots of things going on. We can only focus on so much as human beings and groups and individuals. So is rebranding and changing our name the best use of our time right now?
I've already made my point in my introduction. Anybody
Who wants
else?
to go first?
Can I go? Do you guys have an answer? I don't know.
I would say that if the party was to decide that it was worthwhile changing the name, then yes, absolutely. Because right now we don't have a level of infrastructure that would make it really difficult to do so. If we did have a lot of infrastructure, then I would say that would be a valid point. But as it stands right now, it wouldn't be difficult to do at all.
What annoyed me, I'll
No,
make it really quick.
No.
What annoyed me most with this last election was that I ran as a candidate, and I had the unfortunate circumstance of being out of the country for the entire duration of the campaign. I was in the United States working.
Which wasn't probably as much of a difference because we weren't allowed to campaign. So.
Right. Well, I mean, I suppose, right? But it annoyed me that despite not running a campaign or having any signs up or anything like that, I received roughly, kind of in the same ballpark number of votes as all of my colleagues that actually ran a campaign. Right. And I have levels of guilt, that I couldn't run a campaign in my riding.
What riding are you in?
Vancouver Landing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was frustrating, right? And just my experience trying to get signatures and whatnot, it was, it sucked. I'll put it that way. It just sucked. And so I would say yes, it is worthwhile to change the party name based on the points that I raised earlier, that we win people over. Rather than getting into the weeds with the philosophy and the name libertarianism, we talk about what the party is about, and we turn that around on them and say, okay, well, what issues are important to you, and knock them off one by one, right? And we can, if they want to talk about healthcare and education, we can talk about healthcare and education, and so on and so on.
So okay, Alex.
And I would say that it is a waste of resources. Mainly because we're trying right now to build up our CAs, and I'm part of the problem. I'm the president of the Delta Story Langley CA. You're now part of the Vancouver Island CA, and we're just trying to strengthen them at the grass. This is the grassroots of a grassroots party. So if we're gonna start taking away from Clayton, from Paul, from whoever is the leader at the time, and start getting them to invest all that time in this, well, they're not getting the chance to come out to events the same way as they were. We're gonna lose a year or two. No, I'm just gonna say we got a 4-year cycle until the next election.
I just want to ask you a question though.
Okay. I hope I don't lose my train of thought.
Okay, go ahead. I'll finish.
No, we have an election cycle. Because I don't think Horgan's eager to get an even bigger majority than he has now. So we have time to make changes. But I feel that that's the time when we need to build on what we already have instead of going back to zero and start building from there. Okay, ask the question.
AJ, as part of a new CA on the island, what are your thoughts about where the focus should be?
On what? You're gonna have to be more specific.
Well, yeah. Just is it the best use of our time to be focusing on a name change, or as you're trying to build?
Absolutely fucking not, Keith.
Well, I know yours. Yeah.
Absolutely fucking not. This is our time to shine. To Amy's question before, this is our time. This is our time to spread our ideology in any way necessary. This is our time to let people know that yes, hey, guess what? You can be free. The government doesn't have to solve every problem for you and tax the fuck out of you to solve those problems. You're capable of solving problems yourself and within your own community. The government isn't there to solve problems. The government is there to create problems, to solve and then to tax you more on solving those problems and to do it incredibly inefficiently. on a scale probably costing 3 to 4 times as much as what individual communities could. I feel incredibly passionate about this.
It sounds to me like you're passionate about taxation.
and consuming, perhaps?
That's because
Maybe.
maybe that's because I'm in my masculine energy.
Okay, guys,
I didn't let you make the point.
we're gonna move into closing comments here, just so that you guys can
How
wrap
long are
up.
closing
And,
comments?
I think the same, about the same, 2 or 3 minutes,
Oh, okay.
like before. And I just want to, to Paul's point, and I get it, and I can sense the frustration, especially here in the communist Lower Mainland and communist Island. It's tough, right? Like, and it's true. Like, no matter how hard you guys work, it might be hard to break into this area, and that's where I can I see it from a different perspective from the Okanagan, where, the candidates in the CA there, we really got together in this election, and we made a difference. And in some of the interior things, and it really comes down to media. We can get a message out that you just can't get here, and it's unfortunate because you guys have done amazing things here. But yeah, let's go to closing comments.
Right?
We're gonna do reverse.
Closing remarks to
Oh,
start.
nice. Yeah, so I guess AJ gets 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay, well, I haven't really focused on the politics so much as the philosophy tonight, and I think that's been an important point. But in my closing comments, I just want to sort of distinguish for anybody new to libertarianism what my definition of the difference between liberalism and libertarianism is. I think liberalism, or classical liberalism, is an economically focused sort of philosophy and political view. I see libertarianism as a social and economic sort of philosophy, and so that's the difference there. The meaning of liberty is incredibly deep, and no matter what you call the party, it won't reflect those sort of deep philosophical values that we share. But that name is best summed up in the label libertarian, because it denotes a wide range of within the paradigm of what we're sort of working in. And that's all I have to say on that. I'm so passionate about libertarianism. Thank you guys for inviting me out tonight. Nice debating with you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Paul.
So I agree, right? Classical liberalism is a different definition than libertarianism, and so is ANCAP, and so is minarchist, but they all fall under the libertarianism umbrella, right? And that is the root of the problem, is that we sit here and we infight about what does libertarianism mean, right? And that is a difficult question to answer, right? But it is not an answer necessarily for a political party. At its root, it doesn't need to be that specific, right? We spend so much time infighting amongst ourselves and not paying attention to the outside world. And the function of a political party is to reach out to the outside world and bring them into the fold. And that is why the party needs to change its name, right? It is to bring them in and get the message across, right? People are passionate about particular issues that are close to them, right? Whatever they may be. And that's how you're going to win them over, is in the game of inches, right? Issue by issue, topic by topic, and pandemic by pandemic, right? And yes, we have done well in the last election, but at the end of the day, we didn't crack 2% of the vote, and we could wait another 10 years, and it's not going to change. And we need to draw appeal from across the province, not just in the interior or up north or on Vancouver Island. It needs to be a big tent, and we have an opportunity to bring in disenfranchised liberals and disenfranchised NDPers who are concerned about civil liberties, who are concerned about local governance, who are concerned about decentralization, and still stick to our core principles, no matter what we call the party.
Thank you. Alex, you're up.
All right, well, Absolutely, we have these little infights, but it's not our job to fight, and our name keeps us from having to have that fight, because a person will come to you and say you're a libertarian, and you're not going to explain to them, well, we have an executive of 8 people, and we all differ on what our opinion of libertarianism is. It's not going to get to that. It's going to be, what do you believe in? I believe don't hurt people, don't take their stuff. And it's that easy. And if they're against that, if they're asking questions on that, they're not fertile ground. They're not the people that you want to be wasting your time on. Recent episodes of Tom Woods and Michael Malice talking about, you can tell someone who is not going to accept the message of liberty. Don't waste your time on them. The people that you want to waste your time on, we're all busy people. You want to waste your time on the person who says, what is a libertarian? And then you get to start from scratch. The person that says, I know to libertarianism, I hate you, I'm not voting for you, I'm not signing your paper, I don't want you on the ballot. What am I going to do with that? Nothing. Name change isn't going to change it, because I'm still going to say I'm against most of the human rights tribunal activities. That's still going to be the same whether I'm called the ACT or the LBT or whatever. So what we really need to do is worry about what our name tells people, and if we're worried it's not telling them enough, that's our problem. If we're worried that it's telling them the wrong message, well, then clearly we're the ones who are wrong. My wife always tells me, it's like, what if you're wrong about everything? And I'm thinking, like, I don't think I am, but
we're not
but
What if you're right?
if it comes down to it, you're the ones who are talking about political success, about votes. And if our message isn't good enough to get people to at least listen to us, then perhaps we're in the wrong field. So no, our name is our selling point. It tells people right off the bat who we are.
Exactly.
And it doesn't give us any grace to go flipping on our views. Our philosophy is tied to our name. Pragmatism is a dirty word. Only in that, once you start to sway. I mean, we don't want to open ourselves up to not being actual defenders of liberty. I've had at least one person in the executive, BC Libertarian Party executive, who has now left the party. He had no business being there to begin with. And I won't say his name, because either he's listening or somebody he knows is listening. But he had no business being there. But when it comes down to it, that's not the people that we're trying to attract, who are like one-issue libertarians. We're looking for whole-scale libertarians who are there for the long haul, because when it comes down to it, we're not getting elected anytime soon. The ACT in New Zealand got 8% of the vote. Even if we got 8% of the vote today, what's that going to get us in British Columbia? Nada.
John Rempel.
It's gonna, John Rempel, congratulations. Yeah,
One seat.
Ouch.
No, it's not going to get us a seat.
Or
No, it's
Keith McIntyre.
no, it's not going to get us a seat.
We can have 2.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But it doesn't get us a seat.
Yeah.
No offense.
Go, Billy.
I don't get offended.
Guys, Bill's wrapping it up.
I would say that we have to caution ourselves against being hyperbolic and dogmatic. I would look at various different policies on various different libertarian campaigns, and I could argue that they are actually pragmatic. And we are trying to sway people's minds. We do not want to have people be all or nothing. It's not necessary to have somebody pass the purity test of libertarianism. In fact, as a joke, I thought it would be really kind of neat for us to sell kits where you pee on a stick and check and see if you're a real libertarian. I do want disenfranchised Green voters to vote for our party. Same for conservatives and liberals and what have you. I also want the possibility of maybe some of their former candidates or people that are not happy with their party to potentially join us and grow us. And to answer that point, I think it was Amy that asked earlier, are we growing? I would say we're stagnant. We do see the membership numbers being on the board, and they're not great. And if we are growing, it is in very small bits and pieces. And it's I would say it's quality candidates. So I would give that kudos to someone like Keith. But in the grand scheme of things, we're not growing. I think it's important that we do look at this as trying to bring more people in versus, again, focusing hard on the philosophy. We are trying to get people to vote for us based on our policy planks that are driven towards BC politics. If that's the case, if you're not for that, I would say that your time is better spent on a podcast or just being an activist. So I think changing the name would bring more people in, and it would open up a lot of opportunities.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to turn the camera a bit here because I think I've just been a voice the whole time. Yeah, fantastic debate. The poll is up now, so please answer, and I'll share the results very shortly. And I think, for me, like, I struggled. I said, like, should this debate even be happening? And for me, getting us together to do this and talk about this in a fulsome way was important to me. And I think we've had some conversations that we might not have had otherwise. And I think that's really fantastic. All of you have done just a really great job. I've really enjoyed getting to know all of you over the last little while, and I'm excited to see the future of the party, and I think we can do some really great things together. I'm just going to let the poll go a little bit longer, and Jason, can you just quickly just describe what the role of the CAs are and what you're doing? Oh, first, I forgot one thing. This is very important. Our AGM is on May the 8th, and there are a lot of elections. There's, leader, deputy leader, executive positions. The foundation of the party is so strong. We need people like you to jump on board and help us out. And Jason mentioned that someone from Kamloops emailed him during this podcast. So if you can maybe just quickly, what is the CA and why is it important to what we're doing?
Well, first I'll start off with I just got an email from somebody, Rachel, in Kamloops. She said, I've decided I'd like to help get the Kamloops Interior CA going. Not sure if anyone else has come forward, but let me know how I can get involved. I get messages like this frequently. I got them from the island. Libertarians involved in the party are deciding they want to get more active. There are people out there that are libertarians, they just don't know that they are libertarians. This is a grassroots movement. The executive president, I think a wise strategy is wisely picked a strategy to decentralize in a sense and give more autonomy to the regional leaders to go about finding people who are disenfranchised, who are libertarians who just don't know it yet, and use the marketing that they or the outreach that they feel is the best marketing in their region. For instance, Vancouver Island, very communist. I was born and raised. In Victoria,
Could vouch for that.
yeah, it's the Times Colonist, or we used to call it the Times Communist newspaper. It is a very socialist area, so their challenges are much different. So we over here on the mainland don't know how best to reach people who are disenfranchised on the island. But there are people at this time who are very disenfranchised, who are looking for alternatives. We believe that libertarianism is the alternative, and we're empowering the regional leaders to reach out and develop outreach campaigns, whether it be picnics, barbecues, pub nights, educational outreach, whether or not it be comedy nights that we had in Vancouver. So whatever way, door knocking, it doesn't matter. We're looking for different ways. We're looking for bright minds, people who are fired up and looking to do something and get involved. So if you're watching this right now and you want to get involved, just like the emails I get all the time, for instance, Rachel in Kamloops, that says, something's going on in my life and I'm looking for an opportunity to get involved. There's lots of opportunities to get involved. There are people looking for alternatives out there, and I truly believe, as a new libertarian who ran at White Rock, Surrey, that libertarianism is a home for people who are awake, who can see what's going on, who are very concerned not only for ourselves, our families, but for our neighbors, our friends, and our family. This is a party of people who are not just politically minded. This is a philosophy, almost a spiritual philosophy
Exactly.
that may not gain votes, but it is a movement that is gaining ground, and it is our responsibility to get out there and explain to people a completely new paradigm shift, a new paradigm of thinking. I gotta wrap it up. I'm sorry. I'm pontificating here a little bit.
No, it's great. Like
if you're in a region that is not active now, you need to look for your leaders. If you don't know who the executive is in your region, please contact me, Jason Bax, and I'll put you in touch, or I'll help you get organized, and we can get the ball rolling in your area like we did on Vancouver Island. It's possible, and this is just the beginning.
Thank you, Jason.
Okay,
It's been a
are
battle
you
to
guys
get
ready
Vancouver
for the
The
results?
results.
So I shared
All right.
the results of the START debate, and thank you, Jason. That's fantastic. And again, I can't say how inspired I am by you guys. Like, I only put my
Still my beer, I'm so excited about that.
I put my effort where it matters, and I think this party
there you go.
matters. So the initial results were 37% said yes to change the name, and 63% said no to change the name. At the end of the poll, 31% said yes to change the name, and 69% said no to change the name. So
That's like
we
a couple votes.
are declaring the no side.
In
the-
your face now, don't cry in the corner. Don't cry in the corner.
Again, like whatever name that we are, I think we're strong in our values, and that's what's important.
And we can have an open
Absolutely.
debate about it.
Right.
All right, thank you all for sticking with us. We have 26 people watching.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.
Handshakes, no fists. This is
Yeah.
good. All right, thanks, guys.
That's for when the cameras are
Wait till
on.
the camera's off.
Have a good night.